I want to quickly talk to you about peer-to-peer payments apps. I want to quickly do a compare and contrast between Apple Cash, Venmo, Zelle, Google Pay, and Cash App. One thing for sure, about 20 years ago, PayPal actually started with the whole concept of peer-to-peer payments, but since then, a lot more players have actually entered that space. Okay, and one important element is that during COVID, for instance, like a couple of years ago, basically peer-to-peer payments were really prominent. A lot of folks were home, and folks needed to actually contact their loved ones or their business partners through, and they wanted to send money or receive money for that matter. And peer-to-peer payment apps were really prominent during that at that time. Okay, and so today you have about nearly 300 million users worldwide. Okay, you have billions of transactions annually, and you have over 100 currencies supported. So that's pretty good. One thing for sure, when you think about peer-to-peer apps, you have to really understand that you have actually a certain level of granularity. For instance, you have closed loop apps, you have open loop apps, and then you have peer-to-peer payment apps. So when you think about closed loop apps, basically those happens when you have individual retailers and sets of related businesses that use those closed loop apps. Okay, Starbucks, for example, and Target are prime examples of businesses with their own closed loop apps, and those apps frequently function as loyalty programs in addition to being payment apps, showing customers the points or rewards they have accumulated for each transaction. And then you have open loop apps. Those are the likes of Apple Pay, Google Pay, and Samsung Pay. And then you have the peer-to-peer payment apps. So those are the likes of Venmo, Cash App, Zelle. Okay, so it's important to really understand that when you actually go with either or, you gotta know exactly what you're looking for. Now, how do mobile payment apps work? Well, they work through authentication, communication. So you have NFC, QR code, online interface, and so you have communication, you have approval, you have confirmation, you have settlement, and then you have record keeping. So that's pretty straightforward from let's say a scalability point of view. Now let me go more granular on the apps here. I first want to analyze Apple Cash. So if you think about Apple Cash, think about Apple Cash being centered on the Apple sort of ecosystem. So as with most Apple launches, brand recognition and ease of use are the main selling points behind this new P2P payment technology. Really, when you think about it, so users can actually, if you use Apple Cash, you are able to send and receive money directly through Apple's messaging platform, and you can also initiate transfers using Siri's voice activated technology. So that's kind of cool. And all of this, and the beauty of this is that all of this syncs with the tech giant's other payment service, Apple Pay. So this allows you, for instance, to use a single unified system for both retail purchases and P2P transfers. So unlike PayPal, though, Apple doesn't charge fees to use its service. So this is you just have to be within the Apple ecosystem. Okay, so Apple doesn't charge fees to use its service. The only downside is that Apple Cash is only available on a limited number of devices within the larger iPhone and iPad ecosystem. Now, how does Apple Cash work? Well, Apple Cash is a digital card used to send and receive money from others in the Messages app or to fund other Apple Pay transactions. So you can load your Apple Cash card, also called your Apple Cash balance, with money from a debit or a prepaid card. Not a credit card, but it has to be a debit or a prepaid card. And with Apple Cash, you can send and receive money within the Messages app or Apple Wallet via Apple Pay, fund payments via Apple Pay for purchases in apps, online, and at retail locations anywhere that Apple Pay is accepted. You can receive cash back called daily cash from your Apple credit card if you have one. You can transfer your Apple Cash balance to your bank account, so that's really good. And you also have you can also use your Apple Cash virtual card number to pay online vendors that do not accept Apple Pay. I want to talk to you now about Zelle. So after Apple Pay, you have Zelle. So when you think about Zelle, I want you to think more of a platform that's backed by some of the largest names in finance. Okay, so Zelle is another relatively recent arrival when it comes to a P2P payments space. So this peer-to-peer payment network is currently supported by a number of participating banks, including Wells Fargo, Chase, Citibank, Bank of America, and U.S. Bank. So those are big names when it comes to the banking system in the states. The only thing is that basically Zelle is only supported in the U.S. Okay, so but the fact that you have big names in the banking industry behind this service really makes onboarding new customers incredibly easy, really. And basically, users simply download the standalone Zelle app or their bank's branded app. Either way, they can start sending and receiving money instantly. Because Zelle is directly connected to the user's bank account, settlements clear within minutes instead of the 1 to 2 business days required for PayPal transfers. And so, admittedly, PayPal has recently started offering instant withdrawals. However, there is a 1% fee per transfer up to $10. Zelle, by contrast, is 100% free for all domestic transfers among participating banks. So that's an important element. Participating banks. So your bank must actually participate in the Zelle program. Okay. So what is really Zelle? When you think about Zelle, I want you to think about a peer-to-peer money transfer service that allows individuals such as you and me to send and receive money from each other via connected bank accounts. And most major banks and credit unions are part of the Zelle network. And once you enroll, you just need an email address or a phone number to send and receive money electronically. And Zelle is actually owned and operated by Early Warning Services. So this is really, it tells you a lot about who's behind it. And Zelle actually doesn't charge any fees to send or receive money. The company recommends on its site that customers double check that their bank doesn't charge fees too. Okay, so that's important. Next, you have Venmo. So when you think about Venmo, what should you be thinking about? Well, Venmo is PayPal's answer to, well, PayPal, really, okay? Or rather, it's a reaction to all the rivals P2P payment networks that PayPal's success has attracted over the years. So how does Venmo stack up to the competition, really? Well, at first glance, it doesn't seem very impressive, really, because the settlements still take several days instead of a few minutes. And bank and debit card transfers are free, but credit card payments carry a 3% charge, really. However, Venmo is not strictly a P2P payment option. PayPal is trying to bring this service as a new type of a social network, okay? So users can actually connect with friends. They can even add notes and annotate recent transactions. And users can send messages and emojis. They can also add notes and annotate recent transactions. So this is really the take you have to have when it comes to Venmo. And so combining personal finances with social media may seem like an odd fit, yet the service is already so popular that people have started using Venmo as a verb. So the way we already use PayPaling someone or Googling something, okay? So in terms of fees, this is a no service, like a no monthly service fee. There is no APY. There is no minimum opening deposit when it comes to Venmo. So Venmo is a good tool for quickly transferring money between family and friends. And the debit card, credit card, and direct deposits can be useful, but you don't have to use all the features to qualify to send and receive money. And if you don't have a bank account and want to explore more options, consider the best prepaid debit cards that we have actually, let's say, explored on this show. Let me quickly talk to you about the pros and cons when you think about Venmo this year. So Venmo actually allows you to send and receive money digitally. You can place to deposit your checks if you don't have a bank account. And cashback debit card or credit cards are available for adults. You also have a teen debit card, and you also have early direct deposit. So that's really cool. On the flip side, money transferred to you within the app is not FDIC insured. In other words, you could lose it, and there is no interest earned on money on the app. Okay, and there are fees actually for depositing checks, so this could be a little problematic. But overall, Venmo is a worthwhile tool for, let's say, sending money back and forth as a family member, friend, or customer. Okay, but not more than that. And Venmo could be a great option if you don't have a regular checking account and you don't want to carry large amount of cash. So this is kind of cool. I want to talk to you now about Cash App. So when you think about Cash App, what should you be thinking about? Well, billing itself as the easiest way to send, spend, and even bank and invest. Cash App is really angling to become an all-in-one payment system that really straddles the P2P market and traditional banking. So that's really the vision that Cash App really has. Okay, so as with every contender on into this conversation, you can send peer-to-peer payments instantly. So in addition to banks, Cash App links to credit, debit, and government payment cards. In addition to virtual payment options for online shopping, you can purchase stocks and cryptocurrency directly through the app. So that's really a big plus here. And you can put your payroll needs on autopilot by integrating direct deposit payments with your Cash App accounts. Okay, and Cash App also comes with a free debit card that you can use to spend your Cash App balance at your local retailers. So this is kind of cool. Debit transactions carry no fee. And so it's one of those things where you have to really understand that Cash App is an app for cash, okay? So Cash App was originally built to be a peer-to-peer payment network. So this is kind of cool. So you have peer payments, you have the Cash App cash tag. So if you have someone's phone number, email, or a cash tag, in other words, the username, you can just punch it in, select the amount to send or request, and bam, done. Okay, pretty straightforward. Cash App also generates QR codes that you can scan if you don't feel like typing, and you can just hold any money you receive or deposit into the app indefinitely, transfer it to your bank account, use it to pay other people, or use it as a sort of checking account for use with a Cash App debit card. So it's all pretty simple and seamless. At least that's how Cash App wants to present it. Okay. And you also have debit card. So Cash App is not limited to digital purchases. You have the Cash App card. So you've always technically been able to pay businesses using the app. But now you can actually get a physical Cash App card linked to your account. So that's really cool also. So overall, you have a lot of possibilities when it comes to Cash App. By the way, you can also invest on Cash App. Okay, you can do stock research. You can do cryptocurrencies. You can do a lot of stuff. Next, you have Google Pay. So when you think about Google Pay, think about a tool that's very similar to Apple Cash in that both are trying to become comprehensive payment solutions that customers can use online, in store, via app, and with their friends. Okay, the main difference is that they have different target audiences. So Google is primarily going after Android users, while Apple Cash is geared towards the iOS crowd. Both have a loyal following, likely due to how tightly Google and Apple have integrated their respective ecosystems. After all, the operating systems they design power all the other P2P payments apps on into this conversation. Okay. However, Google Pay has a couple of drawbacks. It can only be used for U.S. payments. So as a P2P payment option, it is exclusively for stateside friends and family. And also, you can link credit cards for B2B transactions, but only for P2P transactions. So this could be a little problematic also, okay, that limitation. So this means what? It means you can use your card for business purposes, but not to send money to friends. So if you can live with these limitations, Google Pay may be a great option for you. So the bottom line here is that when you think about Google Pay, think about a well-designed, feature-complete app that offers in-store, online, and in-person, like a person-to-person payments. Okay. So Google Pay is especially attractive for Android users, but works on iOS and the web too. So when you think about Google Pay, think about a tool that lets you easily pay stores, with NFC, sites, and people. All functions work on Android, iOS, and web. Substitutes actual card numbers with virtual ones for security. So that's kind of cool, okay? So that you can actually prevent hacking, for instance. And the gift card and loyalty program management also are available within the system. But on the flip side, Google Pay doesn't work with Google Assistant or Siri voice assistants. So this could be a little disappointing for some users. There is no buyer protection, and this is yet another way you're tied in with Google. Okay, so it's one of those things where you have to really ask yourself, what are you actually asking? What are you looking for when you go with Google Pay? So Google's payments app strategy has been something of a moving target over the past few years. First, there was Google Wallet, which also let you pay stores using NFC technology, a la Apple Pay. Then that feature was removed and transferred to Android Pay, and Google is moving toward downplaying the Android brand in favor of its own corporate moniker. So this is something to really think about. And yeah. So here you have it. Okay, I just went through quickly Apple Cash versus Venmo versus Zelle versus Google Pay versus Cash App. And so what's the strategy here? Which one should you choose this year? First of all, you have to really understand how to use P2P payment apps safely. Whether you go with Apple Cash, Venmo, Zelle, Google Pay, or Cash App, you got to really think about safety, okay? You want to always confirm the identity of a recipient before you send money. Remember that the old carpenter's saying, measure twice, cut once, right? The P2P equivalent is double checking the recipient's phone number and or email address before hitting send. So to their credit, all the apps that actually spoke to you about today, they always have in-app alerts to encourage senders to confirm that information. You also want to send a small test payment and confirm it was received by the right person before you actually send way more, okay? And also, another thing I want you to really think about is that basically you want to move incoming funds from your P2P account to your bank account as soon as possible. This ensures that your funds are covered by FDIC insurance. You want to turn on all identity verification options available in the P2P app. You want to check and adjust your app's default privacy settings. This is an important element. You want to frequently monitor your P2P account because you want to make sure that things are pretty set in the right position. You also want to delete your account within any P2P apps you no longer use. Okay, that's an important element to have in mind. And you also want to opt out of binding arbitration if possible. Cash App, Venmo, and Zelle give users 30 days to opt out of the requirements by mailing a written notice. Apple Cash does not allow users to actually opt out. And if you do have a dispute, try negotiating with a company before going to arbitration. Many companies will try to settle claims to avoid the risk and the expense of any legal proceedings. So something to really think about. So which one should you go for? Apple Cash versus Venmo versus Zelle versus Google Pay versus Cash App? Well, there's no clear winner here. It really depends on what you are really trying to achieve and the network within which your friends, family, and colleagues are in. The person you want to send the money to, or the person you're getting the money from. Okay, but overall, Zelle is slightly better in the sense that it's free and everybody has it. Okay, Apple Cash is kind of limiting you to the iOS ecosystem, and Google Pay is actually limiting you to the Google ecosystem. Okay, and Cash App is actually the middle. So you have Zelle on top, then you have Cash App, and then maybe Venmo. Even though Venmo is kind of limiting also because it's tied to PayPal. So to this conversation, I spoke to you about Apple Cash, Venmo, Zelle, Google Pay, and Cash App. I gave you the overall, the apps, the strategy, and then the conclusion. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.